Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I wanted to give you my first impression on Ana and White. But before doing so, I just wanted to mention that in the past few days, as you might have noticed, I didn't have a lot of time to play. I just barely had time to do dailies because I was super busy at work. So yeah, this video came a bit late than usual, and yeah, that's basically all I wanted to mention. I also want to say that the deficit I'm currently at is not high, it's like only 220. So everything I say might not be accurate and there might be some changes here and there. So again, this is really a first impression that might be more on the inaccurate hand, let's say. So yeah, this is just a first brief introduction. I would say we can just get started with Anna, the SSR Purple Mage for this patch. And yeah, we can just start with a quick overview. And I will say that Anna, to me, is just basically a Lilial, but I don't even know if she's better or not. I didn't use her much, and just from her kit and the few times I used her, she doesn't really excel that much. I mean, the summon has the same stat as the Puma of Lilio, so 120% of Anna's stats, and then the rest is just buffing the bunny and then just a AoE damaging skill that doesn't deal a lot of damage. So I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to SSR damage dealers nowadays because we have SSR plus units that are overwhelmingly stronger. And then we also have family heads units with the Chomray that will be a lot stronger as soon as we get an actual family head DPS. So I don't know, like SSR in the DPS roles are kind of in a bad spot at the moment. And if they want to compete, like for example a Wang Nanja, they will need crazy good scalings and buffs, etc. etc. Anna doesn't really have that. So from my point of view, she's not really an important unit to have. She doesn't really fit well in any team. Well, she might fit well in some teams, but she doesn't provide any benefits to other units. So from my point of view, Anna is just an easy skip. You shouldn't be bothered to pull for her. But let's just have a look at the skills, exclude equipment, etc. just to see why I'm saying that. So for the passive, this is the skill that summons the bunny. So a bunny doll is going to be summoned with 120% of her stats. This bunny is going to go to the highest attack enemy and deal 400% of its attack as damage and knock down the target for 3 seconds. This bunny is always immune to such effects and prioritize attacking the enemy with the highest attack. Now all of this is pretty good. The damage itself is low and summons do not get the benefits from the ignition weapons, so you cannot run a Ryana on top of this. This would just be 3 seconds of CC on the highest attack enemy. Is it important? At times it might be, but I would say if you had better control on who the target was, that would be way better. Because most of the times what's annoying and what you want to stop early is a unit like Anniversary Iwa or some other supports that you want to stop before they cast the first special move. And that would be beneficial for the 3 second knockdown. The highest attack enemy, even if it's knocked down for 3 seconds, it's whatever from my point of view. It's definitely a good targeting, but not that important from my point of view, if you know what I mean. And then the Bunny Doll attack speed is increased by 4 and crit damage by 10% each time Anna uses a basic attack or a skill with a maximum of 10 stacks, so 40 attack speed, 100% crit damage. This is a nice increase, but not that substantial. If Anna is killed, the Bunny Doll also dies. And instead of talking about Revolution separately, I will just mention it directly here. This Revolution 5, this effect here, is awful. I don't even know why they added it. They might as well just not give her anything. If the Bunny Doll dies in battle, it will be summoned again after 28 seconds. 28 seconds. That's 1/3 of the battle. How can it even be useful? I don't know. Like, it should have been 5 seconds. Maximum 10. But 28. Like, her whole kit relies on the Bunny Doll. Not having it for 30 seconds is the same as not having Anna in the fight. So this is absolute shit. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm not optimistic about this unit. They just, I don't know, gave up on her Revolution. Also, the other, like the Revolution 4 is a bit better, but not as impactful. I don't see how this unit can actually be beneficial to any account. That's just how it is, I'd say. But okay, let's move on to the next skill. Come play with me. Anna uses the power of souls stored within her jar to grant her Bunny Doll a sword barrier that lasts 3 seconds, pretty short duration, and can block up to 3 enemy skills. Then you're going to get a buff for 10 seconds with 35% physical resistance and magic resistance. That one is okay. At least it helps you against shreds and pierce, so it's good. If the barrier ends or is destroyed, the soul contained will explode, dealing 400% of our attack's damage and inflicting fear on nearby enemies for 2 seconds. If the Bunny Doll is dead, then Anna casts this skill on herself. This last part is basically useless because there is the exclusive equipment that will make Hannah cast it on both of them at the same time, so it doesn't matter, but okay. And then we have Revolution part, which is weird to be placed here because the attack speed of the bunny is going to be increased while it's standing in the soul zone. The soul zone is created by the special move, so it's weird. Seems like this 50 attack speed is only obtained when you have this 10-second buff and you are within the zone, so it's an additional restriction. I don't know, it's kind of meh, but there is already like 90 attack speed between the passive and this active skill, this revolution, sorry. So it's 90 attack speed for now. Is not a bad amount, but the multiplier here is dog shit in the active skill damage. In the passive, we only see 400% attack as damage in the first hit, which is also super low. Then if we look at the other active skill, she's going to buff the bunny, increasing its attack by 120% and attack speed by 40 for 8 seconds. And if the Bunny Doll is dead, Anna is casting this on herself. This buff takes the attack speed buff to 130, which is not bad. And the attack increase is definitely nice. That's basically all the bunny is getting. But again, like, this is not going to be a lot of damage. And even if the damage is somewhat okay, it's still single target. So, I don't know, weird. Let's have a quick look at the special move. This is just an AoE attack that is going to be cast towards the enemy with the highest attack and creates a soul zone that lasts for 6 seconds. So this buff will require you to have the Come Play With Me shield on you and will last at best 6 seconds. But yeah, all enemies within this zone will take 200% attack as damage every second and be jolted. The jolt is okay if you're not facing units with, Urek, basically. It's not a bad effect. It procs 6 times, so there is quite a bit of stagger there. But 1200% attack as damage is pretty much irrelevant. And it's the only AoE attack that she has. But then she has a good kind of effect here, and that is if the Bunny Doll is within the soul zone, it restores HP, which could be helpful, but the most important part is the second half, which is basic attacks are guaranteed to be crit hits. The unfortunate part is this buff only lasts 6 seconds. So, is it good? I mean, yes, but I don't know. I'm quite disappointed by Anna, but I wasn't expecting much, so I'm actually happy that she's kind of weak. Then if we go over the exclusive equipment really quickly, we have physical resistance, which is a great stat to have. I just would have liked it more on a support than on a mage. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. Probably crit rate would have been better, kind of, but you still want to build her with resistances, so it still helps. Then we have some nice effects here. The first one is going to be a silence every 3 basic attacks from the bunny doll, which is going to be up enough, I would say, because the bunny has a lot of attack speed, so that's good. Level 2 is what I mentioned before. The shield is going to be cast on both Anna and Bunny. Pretty okay. Anna and the Bunny recover HP equal to 60% of the damage dealt by the Bunny, while affected by the attack increase and attack speed increase from the second active skill. Is it relevant? Not really. I don't know. Not really that great. Level 4 is a bit better, but still not that important. Every third basic attacks from the Bunny doll, the target's defense will be ignored by 50%, but only by the Bunny doll. If this was a 50% defense decrease, then the party could have benefited a bit, but it's just for the Bunny. I don't know. This unit is nothing much from my point of view. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below, but that's more or less it. If we want to talk about the ignition weapon, I would say there is not much that benefit this kind of unit because summons do not get benefits from the ignition weapons. So you either want to go with a Sela so that you can run a bit more offensive stats and the Bunny can deal a bit more damage, maybe. Or you can run an L set just to have an higher uptime on the special move kind of thing. This is also an option. For the same reason, you could run a Rafflesia so that whenever she's crowd controlled, she will resist it and also get the additional energy. Could be an option as well. But in general, there are not many good sets for her. Sundance would be amazing if the Bunny could get Sundance, but that's not the case, so that's a bit unfortunate. And yeah, I'm personally running her with Sela right now just to try her out a bit, but not really a lot of success, I will say. And keep in mind, I'm already at a low deficit. She can work. From what I saw, like she was more or less dealing the same damage as Joaquin in some scenarios. Other ones, she was just useless. So, I mean, I'm not really too optimistic about this unit. So, yeah, that's just what I think of her. From my point of view, just skip her. She doesn't really provide much to any account. Now, I will go over white as well. And we'll start with the first overview on this unit. And they mentioned in like a couple live stream back that this guy was going to be the best DPS unit in the game, theoretically. And I will say it's not too far off. He's probably the best DPS in the game right now. His survivability is acceptable. Again, at my deficit, I have no issues with him, and it's only like, again, 220 deficit, so it's not high. But also I saw people at 300 plus still able to play with him. At the moment, I have no issues with him, even if I only run Yura as a defensive support, and then Kunagero and Gustang, for example, or an Array. Perfectly fine. Survivability, damage is insane. So this guy is absolutely a top class DPS. And I think that if you can afford to get at least Orange 4, then you should go for him. And if you cannot get to Orange 4, it might not be worth it. Because a lot of his potential is hidden behind Revolution. Without Revolution unlocked, like Revolution 4 and 5, without those, it's just meh. And he over relies on I'll build a Revolution 5. Like, that's the only way you can make him work before Orange 4, basically. Afterwards, you can just not use Albedo, it doesn't matter as much. Still, they are an awesome pair, but doesn't matter. It will still carry hard. So, amazing unit, but quite expensive. So yeah, that's basically my first overview. Let's go over the skills and also read quickly the revolution. And yeah, so the passive is going to apply a mark on the enemy that you last used your basic attacks against. And whenever a skill is used to attack a target with this mark, a sword scar is going to deal 200% of his attack as damage 7 times. This is 1400% damage. This is like special move level damage on the passive whenever you hit a skill. This is why Albedo Revolution 5 is pretty strong with him, but also him alone is totally fine thanks to his exclusive equipment that we're going to read in a second. So really, really good. The cooldown is only 1 second, basically every time you cast a skill. You are not going to, like, there is a bit of cast time in both of his skills. So even with high swiftness, and if you were to chain them back to back, you should still get both procs. But yeah, definitely really, really strong damage here. And whenever white attacks a target with this mark, their magic resistance is decreased by 2% per attack for 12 seconds, max 40 stacks, for a max on 80% magic resistance shred. This is already massive and works if you have a magic damage dealer in the team. You probably won't. In general, is probably the only DPS in your team. But if you have like a Gustang, Gustang will still deal a relevant amount of damage if you have an invested one. So this is beneficial for him as well. Then the most important part is the second stack that you get when you attack an enemy with a mark, and that is a 4% attack increase until the end of the battle with a max of 100 stacks. These can be removed like by Urek or Garam, Anniversary Iwa. They can remove it, which is super annoying, and you cannot really fight them if you don't have Orange 4. And then we have here only one mark of thirst can exist at any time. Okay, fine. Then we have, again, Revolution 4 that I just mentioned. The attack increase obtained from the passive can no longer be removed with buff removal skills. This is insane. Really amazing. And it's good that they put this in the Revolution, because this way an enemy white in Adventure won't have this. Same thing for the Revolution 5 that we're going to read later. So super, super good. But it doesn't end here, because the attack increase is going to be increased by an additional 3%. So from 400% total to 700% total. This attack increase is massive. And then another super important feature, white enters the battle with 50 stacks of the attack increase effect. Enters the battle. This applies before the effects that say at the start of the battle, because this guy will already enter with this effect, which means a 350% attack increase immediately, which is insane. And any unit that will link to the highest attack before Orange 4 will not link to him, because warriors don't have the attack percent increase in the subnodes. But with these, you're guaranteed to link to white. So a Mamanak or a Yellowy or those kind of units that target your own highest attack unit will target white. This is amazing. And also a 350% attack increase immediately is huge. And the first skill that he cast is going to be this Spirit Suppressing Eightfold Strike that is going to increase his own swiftness, create a barrier around himself for 600% of his attack, which is super huge because it starts with a 350% attack increase. And then he's going to put a mark to the furthest enemy from him and dash towards them, dealing 400% of his attack as damage to all enemies in his path. And the last one is going to take the 1400% attack from the passive immediately. So this is like a built-in Rihanna, because you have the 350% attack plus a super good skill here. So amazing, I will say. And he is invincible while using this skill. So it will just start off with invincibility. It will dash to a unit and deal a ton of damage to them. So yeah, I will say super solid, super good, and not much we can say about this. The second active skill is also super good because we always have to remember there is the 1400% from the passive coming into play every time these active skills are used. White increases his magic pierce by 60% for 10 seconds and create a barrier equal to 600% of his attack that lasts for the same duration. Afterwards, he deals 400% of his attack as damage to nearby enemies, and if one of them has the Mark of Thirst, the attack coefficient of this skill is increased to 600%, which is not a big increase, but together with the 1400% of the passive, that's 2000% attack coefficient. I will say just insane damage. Then we have the special move, and this is really a lot of White's damage, even though the other two were already quite good, but it is also like on another level. And the first part is going to channel the power of souls to create a giant sword, dealing 1200% of his attack as damage to enemies in front of him, so there is a bit of AoE. And then 10 blade shards are going to fly towards random enemies, each of them dealing 240% attack as damage. And this is like 2400% plus the 1200%, that's 3600% attack as damage. That's a lot. If there is only one enemy, that's all against one enemy. If there's more, then obviously it's a bit split up, but still amazing. And he's invincible while using this skill. Overall, his survivability is quite good. His animations are long enough on the two skills that have invincibility, plus all the barriers with the high amounts of attack that he has will make him quite a bit resistant. So yeah, really, really good. Then we have the Revolution 5. White's special move Pierce increases by 20% whenever he uses the special move max 5 stacks. This is also quite good, up to 100% special move Pierce. That's a ton, especially considering the multipliers here. But additionally, the attack coefficient of the blade shards is increased by 240% each time they strike the same target. This is almost doubling the damage, which is insane. So yeah, really, really good kit in general. And if we look at the exclusive equipment, let's just have a quick talk about it. Crit hit rate is a nice additional stat because warriors only have crit damage increase in the subnodes in Revolution, so having some crit damage helps you use that. Then we have level 1, which is okay, it's not bad. If he has the barrier from the second anti-skill, the one that deals the small AoE damage and gives him magic pierce, you're also going to get a block to incoming projectile attacks while that barrier is active. Then the level 2 is a status effect immunity while the barrier from the dash that you cast at the start of the battle is active, so pretty good. You have invincibility and status effect immunity, which is definitely really, really solid. Then for level 3, basically you don't have to worry about accuracy anymore because White's accuracy is increased by 50% each time he attacks a target marked with Mark of Thirst. So if the enemy has a Mark of Thirst, then you are guaranteed to hit him, basically. Then level 4, White's active skill cooldowns are reduced by 0.5 seconds each time he uses a basic attack against a marked enemy. And this reduction increases to 1 second if the attack is a crit hit. So yeah, super good, and it helps just refreshing and casting the active skills a lot more frequently. Overall, really solid exclusive equipment. Not much we can say against it. And in terms of ignition weapon, this is where it's a bit trickier. I still couldn't figure out the best set for him. I, again, didn't have a lot of time to play, so I didn't really test him much. But I tried Rafflesia. I tried Sundance, but very, very little. I tried, as you can see here, Rihanna. And that's more or less it. That's more or less what I tried, but I still have to do more tests. So what I'm going to say here is that you will have a lot of viable sets. You can use Idea, you can use Oriana, you can use Sela, you can use Sundance, you can use Rafflesia, Doris, Rihanna, almost every single set. Unfortunately, his best slot would be an Alocasia for magic damage dealers that we don't have. I'm expecting them to release a pretty good set in December that might be similar to Alocasia, but for magic damage dealers. We'll see. And for now, I would say Sundance is definitely the set with the highest damage potential, because while his basic attacks are not the biggest portion of his damage, boosting them by that much, especially considering how much attack he has, 200% attack increase on basic attacks plus the defense ignore is going to be pretty massive. So there is definitely an increase in damage there, and if you have a good set, a good Sundance set, then that's definitely going to be your best damage dealing option, let's say. But it might be worthwhile to think about other sets as well, because Sela will give you a lot more tankiness, especially if you're fighting like enemies with Pierce or enemies with resistance shreds. The Sela set is going to come in handy, and you can also trade off some resistances for some more offensive stats. So Sela is still quite good. And I would say Rafflesia also works, but at this, like, if you have the barrier up a lot of the times, you will have the status effect immunity, so you will not really proc Rafflesia. It will work, not as consistent, but it does have some benefits, so it's definitely viable. And Rihanna that I'm using right now is good because it will use the dash as the first skill, as I mentioned, so there is an AoE silence to it. It's good. I don't want to say it's really the best set, probably. It is okay, it is acceptable. So I'm running it just because I managed to get a lot of crit hit rate from this one and still reach 100% resistance in both while running slot 5 Magic Pierce. Unfortunately, I don't have Magic Pierce in any piece in the substats, so I only have 50% Magic Pierce, which sucks, but I managed to get 80% starting crit hit rate, which is pretty massive. So I have 80% crit hit rate, 158, which becomes 208 with the 50 default crit damage, and then 100% in both, plus the 50% Magic Pierce. So for now I'm using this, I just put it together quickly, and it works super well. Again, my deficit is low, so I'm not facing any issues. I'm still using it a little bit, and then I will see when I can get to higher deficit. If I have the time to push, I will definitely try some other sets. I hope I can do it in a week time. I doubt it, but I will try to do so. Yeah, we'll see, I guess, which set I will end up recommended. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much all. Maybe one thing just to mention quickly here in the subnodes. Effect resistance is good. Evasion, kind of irrelevant, but if you have enough evasion already in your warriors, because maybe you were running an evasion build for Zahard as well, definitely you can drop some points here so that you can dodge and maybe survive a bit more. Lifesteal, I would say 4 or 8 points are enough, but then I misclicked and I took it to level 9 and I was like, okay, let's take it to level 10, just because I couldn't stand seeing a 9, but I would say 8 is already more than enough. 10% lifesteal will be plenty. Then crit damage is the most important stat here, followed by max cooldown reduction. And then I added defense and HP just because I wanted to see how tanky it could be, also while removing some defensive options like Yura. Though Yura is perfectly good with him and you should play them together. I just wanted to see without any sort of defensive support how far it could survive and provide utility. So yeah, they will come in handy. They will be beneficial. Defense Since we are capped at 99% physical resistance, defense is the next best thing to have. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to mention for this guy. Let me know what you think about him if you did some tests at higher deficit. I look forward to seeing your conclusions as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.